Rock and Robbo here with the first part on the road to achieving the Mountain Man achievement in Banished, which is sustaining a population of 50 people for 20 years, which sounds relatively easy, but you've got to do it on the mountain map, small and with harsh weather conditions. Now, the bright side is that you can do it on easy difficulty. I did it on normal, but I'm actually recording this post sort of doing it, so if you're watching this has been done. I have done it on this particular map. I recorded it post because I didn't want to be halfway through recording and then all of a sudden, you know, something bad happens and sort of everyone dies. So like I say, this is a completed one, so if you watch this series all the way through, then you'll see how to get this achievement. Now, at this point I was wondering what size crops to go for, because you can't go for the standard 15x8 because of the winter being much harsher and coming much sooner. Now luckily I had corn. Now corn is hardier than some of the things like sort of beans, which can get killed quite easily by frost. So because of that I went for slightly bigger crops than I usually went for. This is really my standard start, putting down a big stockpile behind a woodcutter there. Woodcutters are pretty much vital, but you don't need that many. Like, by the end I think I had 6, and that was overkill. I say I think because I recorded this earlier today. This part, yeah. Part of this was earlier today and part of it was yesterday. So I think I had 6, yeah. Bad memory, I know, but I have my excuses. But anyway, I was building up a lot of farms just because it's cheap, quick and easy resources, especially early on. Later on, you'll see that I do actually rely on the corn quite heavily, because it does give you a lot for very little. So, with those built, that was all I did to start getting my people off and running. Now, the problem with this is you've got to... The first year is the hardest, although year 8, I think it is, that we'll see in a future one, was worrying. I think it was year 8. There was one year where I panicked and thought that I was going to lose it because my food went dangerously low, but that's not for a while. I will say, avoid what I did then, which I think I boomed the population a bit too much. I built too many houses, but I got through it, so that's what matters. Right, started building up the first little outpost, which would be providing all the base resources you need: lumber, food, and obviously with a woodcutter there you'd be getting firewood as well. Now, there's not much else you can do at this point except leave them to it, really. You can't really influence anything more than you've already done, so at this point you're praying, really. The first year it's hit or miss. You'll either survive or you'll have 5 people left by winter. It's that brutal. Luckily though, I think if I hadn't had corn, if I'd had something like pepper or potatoes or something, I might not have managed it. Just because corn is a much better crop to get. That and wheat. Wheat is very good. Beans aren't... I made beans sound terrible early. They're not bad, but if you don't harvest them early, then you're screwed. And frosts can hit quite early on this, so I wouldn't personally risk with beans. If you get beans, I'd start over and try and get corn or wheat. So anyway, that's the basics of the crops. The houses were coming along quite nicely. I obviously needed enough for everybody, otherwise they would freeze to death because of how cold it is on harsh. I would try playing this a few times through on the small map, because it is a lot different to playing it on a normal size or a large sized map. You really do notice the difference when you get onto a small one, how you've got to maximise every little bit of the environment to your advantage. Now I was looking for a place to put my mine. I'll only run one on a map this size, just so that my blacksmith will always have a little bit of iron to make some more tools, because with a small population you don't honestly need a lot. But again, I think I had 2 blacksmiths by the end, just because we got quite low at one point, because I'd been struggling for logs. So I'd stopped making tools, but I mean we were struggling for tools, so it was just like I was struggling for one thing, so I had to give up doing something else, and then I'd struggle on that later. Put another storage barn there. That storage barn doesn't get built for a while, actually. It's just there for when I started stockpiling too many resources for just that storage barn to handle, but like I say, that doesn't get built for ages yet, so some of this was more preparation work than anything else. Like a lot of the things I put down at various points I don't end up building for 2 or 3 years. For example, I wasn't paying attention fully, I might have missed it, but I do put a trading post down, which to this point, and that's spoiler, year 26, that's when I would have got the Mountain Man achievement. Year 26, I've still not built that trading post, and yet I put it in place in year 1 or year 2. That's pretty crazy how long that actually took me to do that. Well, still taking me. I'm not sure whether I'll keep playing it. I might play it a bit more, just to see what population I can get to. Because I wasn't just sustaining a population of 50, I was at a population of 150. That's what I was sustaining, because I got to 50 in about 6 years. And then there was just part of me was saying, okay, just stockpile. Just stockpile for the next 20 years and you've got an easy achievement. But that's not me. I'd say follow the first sort of 6 or so years of this for your start, and then don't follow any more of it, because you'll just run into problems, as I almost did. Thankfully the corn saved me. I ended up having to put down about 6 more crops to keep us sustained on food. Nobody starved. Well, one person did, but they got stuck on the wrong side of the river, so I couldn't really do anything about that. That's not really my fault at the end of the day. That's the game's fault for being stupid. Right, so everything's going pretty well. We don't have a lot of food, but we had enough. And we had enough firewood as well. I found that you don't honestly need to stockpile it that much once you've got a few. And if you do stockpile it a lot, you struggle on lumber, and then you struggle on tools, and ugh. It's just one never-ending chain. So you have to have low amounts of something when you're on a small map, or at least you do for a while. Year 26, I wasn't struggling for anything really. Probably firewood was my lowest thing. Wasn't struggling for stone either, because I put a quarry down. Spoiler alert for the next part. I think that's the same part where I put down the trading post and a tunnel. Alright, so this little outpost is getting built up quite nicely. I've got the food coming in through there, which is bumping that up, and I'm getting my textiles in to make clothes, because we're running low on them. We're running low on tools as well, but because we don't have a lot of people working, the tools don't go down that quickly. The clothes, on the other hand, will, as new people are born, so... Just noticed one of the names, Chandler. It's almost like there's friends. Now I've got to look out for anyone like Joey, or Ross, or Rachel, or Monica, or Phoebe. I think there is a Phoebe in the game. There's like so many random names in this game. But, we are rapidly approaching the 10-minute mark. Each of these will be about 10 minutes, just because otherwise it's a bit much to watch longer than that in one sitting. So 10-minute long episodes, so it's going to be about 12 episodes long. So thank you all for watching.